I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. The Lord will not let your foot be moved. The one who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, the one who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand, so that the sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will preserve you from all evil. The Lord will keep your life. The Lord will watch over your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Perhaps you are feeling a bit tired of this and wishing we could go back to normal. You might be one of our healthcare workers. You face heavy demands every single day. You are caring for people who are ill. You are serving as surrogate family members to befriend and comfort people whose loved ones are unable to visit them in hospital or in the care home. Daily you enter that environment with its call to service and always with the potential threat of the virus. And then you go home to try to do a few normal family things. If you're in one of the essential services, you're working in strange new conditions with all manner of protocols and procedures to allow your work to continue in the safest way possible. Sometimes the public that you serve are anxious or demanding. Sometimes they are careless and disregard the necessary rules. Sometimes they bring along their concerns for loved ones who are ill or far away. You do your job and you deal with us, your public, in ways that are kind and supportive, even when we do not reciprocate. Perhaps you work in agriculture. The land needs to be tilled and planted, and lambs and calves will be born regardless of any international virus. As you drive that tractor in the field, or when you get up in the middle of the night to go check on that ewe, it's really obvious that the work needs to be done and done now, and it would be really, really difficult if you were to become ill and couldn't do the work. Most of the rest of us are at home. Some are considered vulnerable and are in isolation. Some have brought their work home, and others are wondering if there will be a job to return to after the furlough is over. Some people are overseeing their kids' home learning. Some are running errands for those who are required to stay in. Some are taking advantage of the extra time at home to work in the garden, learn a new skill, or renew friendships with people who had slipped away in the busyness of life. In these 6 weeks, we've met the challenges and we've adapted to some enormous changes. And we're not done yet. There are undoubtedly more challenges and more changes ahead of us as we enter the next phase of this experience. We have shown that we are strong, resilient, patient, kind, compassionate, and creative. And perhaps we are also a little bit tired, a little bit weary of the strangeness of it all, anxious to return to normal routines, craving unfettered contact with others, desperate for the touch of one hand to another. I love walking in the hills around Cupar. It is a beautiful part of the world, with the town snuggled into the rolling hills of northeast Fife. When I walk, I often think of the psalm that I read to begin this message. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. The psalmist might have looked at the hills and the mountains, massive, firm, and unchanging, as a visual reminder of God's unfailing presence. When life at close range was difficult, they could lift their eyes to the hills to be reminded of the one whose love is forever. With our modern understanding of geology, we know that mountains and hills rise and fall over time, normally over millions of years, but sometimes rather dramatically and swiftly. We lift our eyes to the heavens, but our astronomical studies help us to know that even the stars, whose lifespan are counted in millions and billions of years, even the stars do not last forever. And so we look farther still to the one who is beyond time and creation. The great religions of the world have this common trait. Our anchor is not contained within the world or its institutions. Our ultimate meaning and purpose are derived from looking beyond our political structures and societal institutions, beyond the hills, beyond the sun and the moon and the stars, to the one who is eternal. As Christians, our unique perspective is that this one who is eternal and sovereign also chose to become human, to accompany us in the joys and travails of earthly life, to manifest divine and eternal love in the intimacy of shared flesh, shared creation. Sometimes we grow weary of our difficulties. We tire of serving. Our mental energy is sapped. Our creativity and flexibility are drained, and our hearts are hollow. In those times, we look to the hills. We look beyond the hills, beyond the stars, to the one who is forever with us, the sovereign one whose love does not change, who chose to take on flesh and share in the intimacy of our lives. We like to be people with purpose. We like to be productive and get things done. If there's a problem, we want to solve it. If there's a pandemic, we want to do our part, large or small, to contain and control the virus. And if we're stuck at home for several weeks, we want to remodel the garden, learn a foreign language, begin a new spiritual discipline, and maybe even get the envelopes for the Christmas cards addressed. Those are all good things. God made us that way, reflecting God's own creative, imaginative, healing, comforting, working spirit. But sometimes our purpose is not to do or to give, but to receive. Sometimes we just need to rest in the care of the one who is older than the hills and more durable than the mountains, that one who holds all of creation firmly in an embrace of love that transcends all our difficulties, the brief pain, the minor hiccup, the intermediate problem, the societal challenge that we face now, the personal burdens that some people carry for years and years. God's love holds all of those. God's love restores and refreshes us when we are weary. God's love gives us a perspective beyond ourselves, beyond our habits, and beyond our institutions, that we are able to meet the challenges of these days and throughout all our lives with a trust and a hope and a confidence in the one whose love does not fail, and whose purpose for us is that we live that love in kindness and humility with one another. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. The Lord will not let your foot be moved. The one who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, the one who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand, so that the sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will preserve you from all evil. The Lord will keep your life. The Lord will watch over your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Almighty and everlasting God, we look to you, the creator and giver of life, our strength and our foundation, our salvation and our hope. When we grow weary, turn our eyes and our hearts to you. Restore us, encourage us, and lead us, that we may live out our days with a confidence in your eternal presence and with a commitment, always renewed by your Holy Spirit, to share your love in ways that build up and support all members of your beloved creation. Amen.